Sam, thanks for coming by and talking to us today here at Star Wars Celebration.
Yeah.
I want to jump in and saying, finally, you are getting the Maul series that we have all been waiting so long for.
You say that like it was an inevitability. It certainly wasn't to me.
To me, it certainly was. I needed it. I needed to have it. So what was that phone call like, getting that information for the first time?
It wasn't a phone call.
Oh.
It was a summons.
A summons?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, I was summoned by this guy, Dave Filoni. I don't know if you know who that is, but
I've met him a little bit.
Yeah, he summoned me. I arrived, and then, as I recall, I just sat down, and in classic Dave fashion, no fanfare, he just said, "Okay, so we're doing a Maul series, and here's this thing. You got to understand that with Maul at this point in his timeline, he just went right into it." And I was like, "What was the first part again? We're doing a what now?"
Just a little shell shock.
Yeah. And so then he described for me the concept of the series, which is bad guys versus worse guys, and certainly a lot of different characters. You know, there's a lot of it's really a very ensemble cast. There's a lot of different characters with very different, interesting viewpoints. But it was a show that would allow us to answer some questions that I've certainly had about the character for a long time. I think some of these questions may have subconsciously registered on the audience, but for me, it's bugged me. And I never thought we get to answer the questions, but there are things about the character that I'm like, that is unanswered. We don't know about that. Why did he do that? These types of things. Because as the actor, I need to know these things, right? And so I had opinions. And now we're using those opinions. I mean, we are, building a new yet familiar version of the character. Because if you're going with a show in which you can show his viewpoint, you have to ask a lot of questions. I mean, for example, he knew the Empire was going to emerge. That was the plan from the beginning. He didn't know his master's entire plan, but he knew a lot. He knew enough until it happened. And he learned he didn't really know anything. And he looks around at this Empire and he goes, what is this? Because you have to understand, Maul is a classically trained Force user. He comes from a time of knights and dragons and magic. And then suddenly this Empire shows up and all of the color and the magic in the galaxy is being drained away, being replaced by this mechanized, soulless Empire. How does he feel about that? Is that what he signed up for? Is that what he thought he was building with his master? And further, this is a universe, the magic is so gone from the universe that his sworn enemy, the Jedi Knights, they're gone. How does he feel about that?
It's a lot of questions.
Yeah, how does he feel about the Jedi Knights now that they're gone? Has his opinion changed? Who knows? I mean, we do, but I'm not going to tell you. And what is he going to do with himself at this point?
Yeah.
What is he going to do with himself until perhaps he finds someone and he decides to offer some wisdom to the next generation? And that's a whole other set of questions. How does Maul train an apprentice? Not how does a Sith do it? How does Maul do it?
Well, I think that's interesting because Maul has been looking for an apprentice since the Clone Wars. He's been wanting someone to take on those skills and abilities from him.
They're not easy to find.
Not easy to find. So are we going to get to see a bit of, like Darth Talon, the Legends figure that was there? Is that what kind of we're looking at with his new apprentice?
I'm sorry, what? I didn't hear you. What'd you say? I'm sorry, what? I could do this all day, man.
Okay,
perfect. I could do this all day.
You had me going. You had me going for sure.
Interesting. What an interesting thing you're saying.
Perfect. Well, I'm glad we caught that there. And lastly, you've played countless villains. You've played Emperor Palpatine. You've played Maul. You've played Doomsday in Smallville, for Pete's sakes. Have you ever thought about doing a hero?
Well, anytime that I've played a good guy, I'm always looking for the dark bits, things that are not so good. So what's fun about Maul Shadow Lord is, and it's always been fun about Maul, for example, is that, you're playing a dark character, but you're finding those little pinpricks of light in the character, which creates conflict, which creates internal tension. So I'm going to stick with Maul for right now.
Perfect.
He's a hell of a task. I mean, they brought me in a year ago, and This is the deepest I've ever been in on the creation of a Lucasfilm project, and I will tell you, it's challenging. It's very challenging. This is a harder version of the character to do than we've ever had.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us in the studio today in Japan.
Hey, sorry for trolling you.
Hey, no worries.
Yeah.
Have a great